Marques Phillips, good morning. How are you?
I never got away with it in the first place.
No, short of drinking, I'm very respectful.
Right.
Listen, the hospital. We seem to be plowing forward, and of course they came out with basically the which buildings are going to be taken, what it's going to look like, and there are pictures up on our website at WIBX950.com. Your thoughts? Obviously, you work for the county, so
yeah.
But you're a longtime Utica resident, and you came by on Friday to pipe in, and we couldn't get to you on Friday over at Nimes.
Yeah, you know, the way I kind of got involved in all this publicly was like, I just wanted this area not to be what it has been.
Yeah.
And you know, I remember when I was a reporter, I may have told this story before, I saw one of our governors speaking to one of our elected officials about the arterial. He said, I'm giving you $100 million to redo a bridge, and there's people outside this office right now with signs. I love Utica. I come by Utica all the time. Don't ever ask me for anything again. I'm not doing anything here. You people don't vote for me anyway, and when I give you money, you protest it. I'm not doing anything. And I just didn't want to be that city.
Who was that, by the way?
I'll tell you off the air. I don't want it because it was a private conversation.
Right.
But
I'm trying to think of when you were a reporter. That goes back certainly before Cuomo.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, before Cuomo.
Yeah.
But you know, so you got Spitzer or Patterson. You know.
Right.
Take your pick. But I was
well, it wasn't Patterson because he couldn't have seen the signs. I'm just saying, right?
He could see more than he let out.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
It wasn't
full. He did run the Boilermaker, by the way.
That's
true.
Is a good point.
He did.
Okay,
yeah.
that's a very good point.
You know, that's how I got in this hospital thing. So one day I just woke up and I said, Bill, let me go on and tell people, like, you know, it's $500 million. Our whole city budget is $65 million.
Yeah.
Let's do something, right?
Yeah.
And from then on, every time I see somebody, you know, they want me to talk about the hospital, and I'm like, dude, it's just how I feel. Are
they trying to change your mind?
No, I mean, a lot of people just are either curious or they're strong in their positions, but I find it to be mostly in Utica.
Yeah.
Like you had the poll that said it was 50-50. Well, it's 50-50 between Oneida, Herkimer, and Madison County. Your listening audience.
Well, yes, that included that the hospital vote included everybody.
Right. So if it's 50-50 there, what do you think it is in the city of Utica? You know what I mean? It's probably more popular where it's happening.
I do think that we can ask that question. We could find that out.
Right.
And I do think it might be. What do you think it'd be negative?
I think it would be more so in Utica. Yeah. I mean, the people that would have the more apprehensions are the people that are coming from somewhere else going into a new place.
It has to go downtown
right.
to the city, yeah.
So I think, but either way.
It didn't show up really in the election, though.
That's about what I get. It didn't show up in the election. I mean, everybody that was for the hospital, except for one person, I think, won. I mean, and that was countywide.
How about, I think LaMedico is going to squeak it out based on absentee ballots. Are you seeing any of that?
Yeah, I heard he was going to win.
Yeah.
I got some text that he was going to win. I personally like Jack. He used to serve. He served in Bosnia and Iraq. And he you know, I just always found him to be a good guy.
I did have a conversation with him, and he's like, after everything I've been through, I come back to this, and I'm trying to do good, and you end up getting caught in the middle of craziness, and that's
that's why a lot of people don't like to run. I mean,
yeah.
you enter the forum, and you know, there's lions in the arena, but you know, it looks like Jack might win. The drawings from the hospital are going. It's going forward. I mean, I think there's enough people determined to do something that don't want to lose.
One of the arguments I'm hearing now, which I think is constructive at this point, the arguing I'm hearing now is past whether or not it's going downtown.
Right.
I'm hearing a lot of criticism over, and I think we have to get the hospital people on and ask this, and I wish I'd have asked it on Friday.
Just on Friday.
Yeah, I know, but it's a question that I didn't ask. And first of all, I had some phone calls on Friday because the mic was left on, our mics were left on. And I said, when he was leaving, we're talking about Schofield. When he was leaving, I said, well, I'm all in. And somebody called me after and said, you got to explain that, because it looks like you're all for the hospital and you're not being independent. And my answer to that is, I've always been
Yeah,
very
it's no
vocal.
secret.
I'm all
Right.
in.
Oh,
I
yeah.
am all in. That's
that person's first time listening.
that is not anything that I've hidden at all. So I just want to clarify that it was no. It's not like we're all right. I'm going to bring you on. I'm for this. I'm all in. So I'm going to throw softballs at
I'm
you.
going
and,
to pretend like,
yeah.
you know.
But I do want to ask. I'm not sold on this on the hospital, and I think it's worth discussing because that's what I'm hearing. This one thing I'm going to talk about here is what I'm hearing people complain about right now. The good news is they're not complaining about, I don't want the hospital going downtown. They're complaining about, I'm wondering if this is being done right. And the question is, we're going to have, there will be fewer rooms. And I keep hearing, well, today we don't need as many rooms because you're in and you're out. But then you keep hearing stories about people that are being treated in the hallways. There are not enough beds for them right now. I think we need somebody to explain that issue. Have you talked about that to anybody?
Yeah. Okay. So, you know, when
When we're talking about being in the hallway, that's stuff that's going on right now. I hear people talking about that right now happening in their lives.
right, and this is constructive, and I think
It
we
is
should be part of
constructive
conversation.
It isn't saying this isn't fighting the existence
Right.
of it. It's fighting the
how
actual,
it goes.
Yes.
The hospital is not going to be perfect, and people should give their input. What I've heard about that is, listen, they did a 422-page application. They had a census count of their patients in the hospital. That was the average census count.
Yeah.
They tried to predict care. They did it with the State Department of Health. The County Public Health Department has a role. The hospital has a role. Other projects have a role. And they say, well, with the future of the medicine and what our current patient count is, this is the right number. We're going to add 25 bed shell in case it gets bigger.
And that's going to be down. There'll be more rooms at the emergency room area too, I believe.
Right, and we're going to have all single rooms, and some of them will be able to convert
Mm-hmm.
to doubles. Plus, Faxton can handle some of the overflow because it's going to stay open, right? So that's what they say, but they don't think there's going to be as much needs for beds in the future.
I don't know. I keep hearing stories about people having to be waiting for rooms, and they're waiting in the hallways. And I talked to one guy over the weekend that said it was might have been his father or somebody that spent like 3 days in like being treated in a hallway.
But some of that is right sizing, right? So they got to put you in a room for one thing. They might have 20 beds in oncology, right?
Right.
And you can't stay in the oncology department. So when
Correct.
somebody tells you the number of beds, you're like, well, they got more beds now and they're all full. Well, a lot of them aren't
Right,
full. They're
right.
just in the wrong department.
So and maybe what they're going to tell us, and I this is why I'd like an answer on this topic and go a little deeper on this, is that emergency room traffic is higher in the emergency room. We're going to have more beds in the emergency room than we currently have, but up here where we don't get as much traffic, there will be fewer. So I think that would make sense to me.
Right, and they're trying to right size and make more efficient. I do want to point out, and this will be controversial, but it's a 422-page application. There's a lot of people that study medicine that went into looking in what size this hospital should be.
Yeah.
And it's like if me and you dug a hole, and we had engineers in and architects in and construction site managers in, and some guy comes out of the store with a coffee and says, you're not digging that hole right. And I said, well, we asked all these people.
Yeah.
And they said, no, I don't care. You're not digging it right.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the hospital. Like the people that are making these decisions are really qualified. They studied this for years, right?
Right.
And they said, this is what we need. And there's a bunch of people that get out and say, no, it's not.
We don't deal with people who are qualified anymore.
No, that doesn't exist.
In the new era of politics, people who are experts are actually liars.
Right. They're corrupt. They're part of the
That's right.
talking class.
They're a part of the big conspiracy.
And if we're not going to get it from them, who are we going to get it from?
No. You said something, too, that I want to bring up. We're talking to Marques Phillips. Marques has been a reporter through a good part of his career and now works for the county. You mentioned something that I find interesting, and as a lifelong Utica resident,
Right.
You said, I don't want things to be the way they used to be. Now, you know that Jim Zecca and Jim Brock and Brett Truitt, these are people that are really trying to keep things the way things used to be, keeping the buildings that made up Utica. But you don't see it that way.
No, look, we got to change.
You want just the opposite.
We got to change with our time. We're graduating. So many kids that are leaving. My best friend's gone. My sister's gone. My daughter's in San Diego right now, going to college. And part of it is you don't want her to go, but part of it is she has to go.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is we have to evolve. You can't be the same community you were in 1960 only because it's not 1960. And we've seen so many years go by where Utica was behind the curb, and we lost so much of our talent and have drained so much that you figure, look, man, we got to try something different, because you go around here and to be honest with you, it's just not where other communities are. You go to that Columbia Lafayette corridor where it is right now. No disrespect to the businesses down there, but if you drove through there 2 years ago and compared it to the downtown in most cities our size, it's not as attractive. It just isn't.
But it's ugly.
It's not even close.
I mean, it's awful.
So we got to be honest.
Is that Lafayette where Ray Seakin's building was?
Yeah,
I mean, that building is just in such... And they'll say to you, well, no one's going to fix that up because they feel that they're going to lose the property in eminent domain, so nobody's going to invest there. But we've had how many years to invest
since
there?
I was born.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what that building used to do.
Yeah.
I was born in 1982. I've never seen it functioning. You know?
So you've never been alive when that Teasers billboard hasn't been up there?
Oh, never.
Yeah.
Not in my life. And
used to be sparkly.
I've heeded the call on occasion.
Today.
Would it fall off
The tassels,
the rain,
I think I don't know, the wind blew off the tassels or something. Oh, no.
And if you ask most young people, you know, I've done some work with young people over the years. They'll tell you how there's nothing to do here. This place stinks, and you work your hardest and you try to get things for here and you try to move it forward, and then people are like, "What are you doing? This place is perfect."
I know.
It's frustrating.
All right. Could you talk about? Did you meet with No Hospital Downtown?
That I meet with them.
Well, did you meet with Jim Brock?
Yeah, that was it.
Did Jim try to convince you and explain to you why you're wrong?
Yes.
And did he? Well, clearly not.
No, but he was stunned that I didn't change my mind as soon as he opened his mouth. He's like, "What?" You know. And look,
did you just tell him you didn't? Because my answer, because he took me out too. My answer to him was, "Well, and Bill, we're going to change your mind." I'm like, "Well, we'll see. I don't know." That's kind of how I handle it.
Look,
you're like, nope, you didn't change anything.
Jim, we don't agree on this because, you know, and I have a lot of stake in this area, a lot of stake in that particular area. I know a lot of people that live in Kennedy Plaza. Right. You know, just the people that are from that place are sort of my people, the people I grew up with. And I think Jim Brock is a good guy. And I think he's a nice guy, but I do feel like it's easier to poke holes into something than to build bricks onto it. So when somebody comes with a proposal, this is how we got to help your area. Your hospital's 100 years old. You're one of the 25 worst places in the country for healthcare. This is one way to improve it. The easiest thing to say is, well, is there going to be parking? You know what I mean? You have to ask critical questions, but you also have to be part of the solution, in my opinion.
I will tell you, you're absolutely correct. I've worked on campaigns through the years. The easiest campaigns to work on is when you're hired to prevent someone from getting elected. Right. That's just a cakewalk. Because you can sky's the limit on what you can do there. But to get someone elected or to get something passed or to get something done, it's far more difficult.
Especially something like this that's 4 years out. Yeah. Because people keep seeing it, and, you know, there was the whole nano thing, and people didn't get rewarded for that in their opinions. And so it's easy to be a skeptic.
Yeah.
Well,
David and West Schuyler. Hi, Dave. You're on the radio. Good morning.
Morning, Bill.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. What do you think?
Okay, here's why, in my opinion, we need a hospital, and we need a bad state-of-the-art hospital.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, a 14-year-old girl in Cornhill shot in the chest, sent her to Syracuse. Just around the same time, head-on collision, 2 pickup trucks up in Poland, 2 drivers airlifted to Syracuse.
Right.
Last night, my 6-year-old grandson had severe stomach pains, possible appendix, and went to, I think, St. Luke's. They sent him to Syracuse.
Right.
Okay, then the chopper, 7 months ago, I had a run-in with a log splitter.
Oh, wow.
And didn't come out good.
Oh, boy.
Thank God my neighbor was around, took me to St. Luke's.
Yeah.
Got me right in. They were excellent, really good. And then they took me down. They did x-rays, and they sent the x-rays to Syracuse. And a couple hours later, the surgeon in Syracuse called back and said, when did it happen? And they said 2 o'clock, and it was now like 5 o'clock. And he said, when can you get them here? And they said, well, we can get them there probably in a couple hours. And the surgeon in Syracuse says, too long, can't reattach.
Wow.
I'm without a thumb.
Because of that. I cannot imagine the pain that you went through with that. I'm cringing just thinking about what you went through. And
actually, very little blood, and evidently I went into shock because there was no pain.
Well, that is what your body does to protect you. So, all right, interesting, Dave. I appreciate your stories. Thank you so much. And
okay, have a good day.
And be well there. That's now the question is. And I know there are people out there saying this is not going to happen. This is a lack of doctors. I'm reading somebody's response here right now. Having new facilities is not going to bring the doctors to our area. So the question is, the only way you change that is by having new doctors, more specialists.
There's two things I say. One, there's like a bunch of simple things. Like if you go in trauma and you're in surgery, they got to bring you on the elevator.
No doubt. Yeah.
And right now the patient and visitor elevators are the same. So they're bringing a patient up that might have an airborne sickness. And if you're a visitor, you're in the same elevator with them. And the same thing with patients in the room. So there's some things the building is just going to help. You're going to be able to fit some machines in. The electricity will be able to operate some machines. As far as the doctors,
actual flow of everything will absolutely improve.
Save lives.
Tremendously.
So how many lives is it worth? 5,
I'm not
10?
sure this is going to stop the trip to Syracuse, though.
No, well,
but at the same time, I heard a story over the weekend of someone with cancer that was told they were going to switch to Syracuse, and the physicians in Syracuse said, absolutely not. Bassett is the perfect place for that type of cancer. So that's Syracuse basically sending somebody to Bassett and Cooperstown.
Yeah.
So each place can have their own specialty, right?
Right. This might not become the Cleveland Clinic overnight, but one thing that
might never become that, by the way.
Right. But the one thing that they're going to, there's always going to be, because of our population, we're not going to have certain areas of expertise. Yeah. But I will say this. There's rooms for education, and they're working on a deal to work with one of the hospitals around here to have residencies in there.
Yeah,
and they're training some of their staff to teach people, to teach them, because they want to get medical students in here and learning. And with our current hospital now, it's not possible.
If you can add some sort of an education program to this, that would be enormous.
I think they'll be announcing one.
That's what I'm hearing, too. I'm hearing it, but I'm not sure that announcement comes with the governor.
Right, and I'm not sure that all the details are worked out.
Yeah.
I'm just privy that they're trying to do it. And look, it gives us a chance. We don't have a chance right now.
Marcus, always good talking to you. We appreciate it.
Yeah, good to see you.
So finally somebody came out and said, I don't want things to be the way they used to be. It's time for some change.
Well, they're never going to be the way they used to be.
Yeah, you're right.
It's a different time.
Yeah.
It's an
50,000, 40,000, 45,000 fewer people, by the way.
Well, it's a whole different place. It's a whole different life.
Yeah.
All
right, Marcus, we appreciate it as always. Thanks, man.